Now we're about to enter Bontia Kadai Temple. Here we go. There's Buddha. Here we are at another Buddhist temple in the Bayan style, built by King Jayavarman VII, who built many of these temples, well, all of them under his reign, right, in the late 12th to early 13th century. Actually, monks occupied the place from time to time, off and on, up until the 1960s, and then they stopped living here so the place could be renovated and restored. Keep having to remind myself that all this intricate art and how great it still looks, and it's almost it's about 1,000 years old. And again, you just have to you can only imagine what it looked like. See if it was built in the 13th century when it was completed, when everything was brand new, what everything must have looked like then. Probably so stunning that you probably couldn't even believe it. And then, so we're back in the front, and then across the road, there's an extension of the temple by the river. Time for a little lunch. I got a fried rice with the egg, and then of course asked them for extra chilies. We're here to check out the Cambodian Landmine Museum. Come here to the ticket booth. It's $5 to get in. Let's roll. The museum is funded by its entrance fees and whatever it sells at the gift shop. You know, during the past COVID years, they didn't make $1. That didn't have one visitor for over 2 years. Cambodia has a history of decades-long conflicts, some of those including the brutal regime of Pol Pot, who committed genocide on his own people and placed landmines across the border so his own people couldn't escape. Then there was the Civil War for many years, and also the Vietnamese occupation, not to mention the Vietnam War where the Americans bombed, or what they call the American War. But through all these conflicts and what we're looking at now, all these different projectiles, rockets, bombs, missiles are called unexploded ordnance. They are munitions that have been prime prepped and are ready to explode, but for whatever reason did not, and they pose a huge danger. And then we're also talking about that, and then we're also talking about the different types of landmines as well. And the landmines were placed without maps and by so many different conflicts that people literally don't have any idea where they could be. So what happens even till this day is there'll be, a kid walking home from school and then he's maybe cutting a field or something, or just anywhere actually, and he could step on a landmine and get killed or lose a limb or multiple limbs. Or it could just happen, some guy's just farming his rice field. He's out there putting in a hard day's work, and there happened to be a landmine somewhere in that field that he activated and is dead or loses legs or gets maimed. Maybe especially scary because you can't really see landmines, but the unexploded ordnances are just as deadly. They could explode on a moment's notice without any type of irritation. So this museum is dedicated to the victims, people that really had nothing to do with these conflicts, that have been handicapped, have lost legs, lost arms, and the ones that survived. And this museum is trying to help everybody. And don't make the mistake of thinking that a war like Vietnam was so long ago that it's no longer a problem. They're even finding stuff in Guam and then on the Pacific Northwest in the United States from World War II. Japanese putting bombs on balloons and floating over that dropped in the forest. And this stuff is still very active, very alive, and very, very dangerous, as if it was brand new. So this is actually a huge problem, worldwide problem, and it's also going on right now, I'm sure, with Russia and Ukraine war. There'll be problems in the future of the same type of situation that Cambodia has. But yeah, there's estimates that still today there is up to 10 million unexploded ordnances, landmines in Cambodia, and dozens of people still die or get maimed every year from this. So here's one of the rooms that actually shows you more of the mines. These are the anti-personnel mines, and then the larger ones are the anti-tank mines. This room is dedicated to the demining and the deactivation of unexploded ordnance. And there's some of the countries trying to help. I see the U.S. is on there, which was a contributing factor what's going on in Cambodia today, and apparently hasn't learned its lesson with its ongoing wars and its support for the current war in Ukraine as we speak. Yeah, also not to forget that when you're dealing with explosives, it's a really deadly job, and a lot of people die trying to help the country out by doing this. And the last temple in our journey is Bantie Samurai. This temple is actually near the landmine museum we just came from. So if you're going to check out temples and you're going to come here, make sure you stop by the museum and give them a small donation. They're really good people, just some of them actually risking their own lives to help out their fellow countrymen and make their country safe. But yeah, here we're at the temple. Let's go check it out. This Hindu temple was built during the reign of King Jayavarman II in the early 12th century in the Angkor Wat style. He was the same king that commissioned Angkor Wat. After the Khmer Empire fell, and decades later when the temple was forgotten about, Angkor scholar Maurice Glaze restored the temple from 1936 to 1944. Looks like I have the whole place to myself. You can hear all the monks chanting from, I don't know, over there somewhere. It's pretty cool. In their native tongue. Looks like another entrance to the temple. Oh, looks like we can go this way. Saying it was built in the same style as Angkor Wat, you can notice the tower is almost the same, and then the fine details on the walls and different inscriptions in the Baroque style. Well, that's it. Hope you enjoyed touring the temples. After 3 days, man, I'm ready for a break. My legs hurt. All the steps, climbing everywhere. It's so hot, especially in the day. You'll find so many people that just go to the forest and set up a hammock to relax and cool down. How cool is that? Well, it looks like the travel gods are on my side. I spent all week visiting the temples without the monsoon season kicking in. And the second I had to go to the airport and leave the country, finish in Cambodia, here comes the rains. But yeah, we're going on a trip around the world. So plenty more videos coming. Stay tuned, guys.